If you've ever stared at a denied claim wondering whether you needed Modifier 59 or one of the X modifiers, you're not alone. This is one of the most common coding questions there is, and it's also one of the most common audit triggers. Let's fix that in the next few minutes. Modifier 59 exists to bypass NCCI edits, the National Correct Coding Initiative bundling rules, when two procedures are genuinely separate and distinct, not just two codes that happen to get billed together. The problem is, for years, Modifier 59 was overused as a blanket make the denial go away button. Coders would slap it on anything that got rejected without documentation to back it up. That pattern is exactly what auditors learn to look for. That's why CMS introduced 4 more specific alternatives, the X modifiers. They still do the same basic job as Modifier 59, they unbundle services, but each one tells the pair exactly why the services are distinct, which is much harder to fake and much easier for you to defend in an audit. Here's the breakdown. XE, separate encounter. Use this when the services happened during a distinct encounter on the same calendar day. XS, separate structure. Use this when the services were performed on a separate organ or anatomical structure. XP, separate practitioner. Use this when a different practitioner performed the service. XU, unusual, non-overlapping service. Use this when the services aren't usually reported together, but there's a clear clinical reason they were in this case. Here's the part most training skips. An auditor isn't just checking which modifier you picked. They're checking whether your documentation independently proves the distinction, separate site, separate session, or separate clinical indication without the modifier doing the explaining for you. If the note doesn't support it, the modifier doesn't save the claim. So before you append 59 or any X modifier, ask yourself, if a payer pulled this chart with no modifier visible at all, would the documentation alone tell them these were two distinct services? If the answer is no, you don't have a modifier problem, you have a documentation problem. That's the auditor's eye view of Modifier 59 and the X modifiers. If you want the full walkthrough, plus bilateral procedures, reduced and discontinued services, and 60+ practice questions to test yourself against real audit scenarios, the complete Modifier Mastery Auditor's POV course covers it all, with narrated audio for every module. Links in the description. See you in the next one.